The massive window of the Terran ship, Shield of Earth, offered a breathtaking view of the Galactic Council station. The space station looked like a giant silver flower floating in the darkness of space, its metal petals spreading out for hundreds of kilometers. Captain James stood at the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back, watching as their ship moved closer to the dock. "It's bigger than we expected," said Ambassador Lisa, who stood next to him. She adjusted her simple blue uniform, the only decoration being the Earth flag on her shoulder. "Hard to believe that just 5 years ago, we thought we were alone in the universe." The captain nodded, remembering the day when the Bloom ships first appeared above Earth. Unlike the scary alien invasions from old movies, the Blooms came with gifts of medicine and knowledge. These plant-like aliens, with their gentle ways and helpful nature, had become Earth's first true friends among the stars. "Docking procedure starting," announced the ship's computer in its calm voice. "Please prepare for artificial gravity adjustment." As the ship locked into place, Captain James felt a slight change in weight. He checked his tablet, reading the latest reports from Earth. Something wasn't right. The Bloom colonies near the edge of their space had gone quiet, and the pattern looked familiar. Too familiar. "Ambassador," he said, turning to Lisa, "we need to talk before the council meeting." He led her to a small meeting room just off the bridge. The white walls and simple table made the room feel larger than it was. "Our sensors picked up some strange movements near the Bloom worlds," he explained, showing her the data. "Large ships, moving in attack formation. They matched the profiles of Claw Empire vessels." Lisa's face grew serious. The Claw Empire was one of the oldest powers in the galaxy, known for taking what they wanted. They looked down on younger species, especially humans, whom they called barely space-worthy primitives. "But the Blooms are peaceful," she said. "They help everyone. Their medicines have saved millions, even among the Claws." "That's just it," James replied. "The Claws don't respect peaceful species. They see kindness as weakness." He zoomed in on the map. "Look at these patterns. They're the same ones used before they attacked the ring worlds last year." A soft chime interrupted them. On the main screen, a Bloom representative appeared. Unlike most aliens, the Blooms looked almost beautiful to human eyes. Their body was like a tree made of crystal, with colors flowing through them like gentle rivers. "Friends," the Bloom spoke, its colors turning dark blue with worry. "We come seeking help. The Claw Empire has demanded we give them our healing crystals. All of them. They say we have no right to keep such valuable things to ourselves." The crystal-like alien trembled. "Without the crystals, we cannot make medicines. Millions will suffer." James and Lisa shared a look. They both knew what this meant. The Claws weren't just bullies. They were dangerous bullies with one of the largest fleets in the galaxy. "We have a council meeting in 1 hour," Lisa said. "We'll bring this up immediately." After the Bloom representative signed off, James stared out at the massive station. "They won't help, will they?" he asked quietly. Lisa shook her head. "The council has a strict non-intervention policy. They'll say it's a local matter between the Claws and Blooms." James straightened his uniform. "Then we'll help them ourselves. Earth remembers its friends, Ambassador. The Blooms were there for us when we needed them." "The Claws have over 3,000 warships," Lisa reminded him. "We have less than 200. A small smile appeared on James's face. "Then we better make them count. Humanity didn't get this far by backing down when things got tough." He turned to the ship's computer. "Send a message to Earth Command. Priority 1. Tell them it's time to show the galaxy how humans protect their friends." As the message went out, neither of them knew they were about to change how the entire galaxy saw humanity. Sometimes the smallest creatures fought the hardest, and Earth was about to prove that size wasn't everything. The real strength lay not in the number of ships, but in the determination to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous, with seats rising up like stairs into the darkness above. Thousands of different alien species sat in their designated areas, their quiet whispers filling the room with a sound like rustling leaves. Ambassador Lisa stood at the speaking platform, her voice clear and strong. "The Claw Empire is preparing to attack the Bloom worlds," she said, pointing to the large hologram showing ship movements. "We ask the Council to step in and prevent this aggression." The Council leader, a tall being covered in shimmering scales, leaned forward. "The Council's policy of non-intervention has kept peace for 1,000 years. We cannot change it because a young species asks us to." Captain James watched from his seat, his hands gripping the armrests tightly. He could see the Claw Empire's representative, General Razor, sitting with his soldiers. They looked like giant armored crabs, their metal-covered claws gleaming under the lights. "The Blooms have helped every species in this room," Lisa continued. "Their medicines have saved billions of lives. We cannot stand by while they are attacked." General Razor stood up, his armor clanking. "The Blooms waste their gifts, giving away precious resources for free. Under Claw control, these resources will be properly managed." His voice was like grinding metal. "This is not the concern of humans. Your species barely understands space travel." James pressed a button on his chair, requesting to speak. The Council leader nodded, and James walked to the platform. He stood next to Lisa, looking straight at General Razor. "Earth will not allow the Blooms to be attacked," he said simply. "We are giving you a warning, not asking for permission." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. General Razor's shell turned a darker shade of red. "You dare threaten the Claw Empire? Your entire fleet could fit in one of our cargo bays." "We're not threatening," James replied calmly. "We're promising to protect our friends. Size isn't everything, General. Earth has a long history of smaller forces standing up to bigger ones." The Council leader banged his staff 3 times, calling for order. "This is not a military planning session. The Council will not intervene in this matter. The Claw Empire's actions in their region of space are their own business." As they left the chamber, Lisa looked worried. "That could have gone better," she said. James nodded, checking his tablet. Hidden message symbols blinked at the corner of the screen. Earth's fleet was already moving into position, quietly and carefully. "They gave us exactly what we expected. Now we can do what needs to be done." A small figure approached them in the hallway. It was a representative from the Ring Worlds, planets that had been attacked by the Claws the previous year. "Your words were brave," the alien said, its ring-shaped body glowing softly. "But the Claws will not listen to warnings." "We know," Lisa replied. "That's why we're not just warning them." She shared a look with James. Earth remembers its history. Sometimes the only way to stop a bully is to stand in their way. Back on the Shield of Earth, James received a message from Earth Command. The fleet was ready. Not just the warships, but also the new shield generators they had been developing. The Blooms had helped Earth develop medicine. Now Earth would help the Blooms develop protection. "Send word to all human ships," he ordered. "Operation Guardian begins now. And send a message to the Bloom worlds. Tell them to be ready. Earth keeps its promises." As their ship pulled away from the Council station, James watched the stars. The Claw Empire thought humanity was weak because they cared about others. They were about to learn that protecting friends wasn't weakness, it was humanity's greatest strength. The real test was about to begin, and Earth was ready to show the galaxy what humans were truly made of. Sometimes, the greatest power wasn't in taking, but in shielding others from harm. Admiral Kate stood in Earth's main space dock, watching as workers attached the new shield generators to the fleet's ships. The massive hangar buzzed with activity, filled with the sounds of welding and the hum of machinery. Earth was preparing for war, but doing it quietly. "The Bloom's organic technology is amazing," said the chief engineer, showing her the latest test results. "When we combine it with our shield systems, the power output doubles." He pointed to a small crystal that glowed with soft blue light. "They're growing these crystals on all their worlds now, following our designs." Kate smiled. The Claw Empire expected to find weak, defenseless planets. Instead, they would find worlds protected by shields powered by the Bloom's own life energy. How many worlds are ready? 15 so far, the engineer replied. The Blooms learn fast. Their entire civilization is like one big garden. When one learns something, they all learn it. A message flashed on the main screen. More allies were arriving. The ring worlds had sent their fastest ships, wanting to help those who dared to stand against the claws. The drift people, who lived in asteroid belts, offered to hide supply ships in their territories. Even the space nomads, who usually stayed away from conflicts, promised to warn Earth if they spotted claw ships moving. Admiral, called out a communications officer, Captain James is sending new data about claw fleet movements. Kate walked to the tactical display. Red dots showed claw warships gathering at their border. The claws were bringing more ships than expected. They wanted to make an example of anyone who defied them. They think numbers are everything, Kate said, studying the display. But Earth's history is full of battles won by smaller forces using smart tactics. She turned to her staff. Send word to all ships. Practice Plan 3 today. In space above Earth, the fleet began moving in strange patterns. Instead of traditional military formations, the ships moved like a school of fish, constantly changing positions. Other ships practiced hiding behind special shields that made them look like space rocks. The drift people had taught them that trick. Meanwhile, on the Bloom worlds, changes were happening. The usually open and peaceful planets now had hidden defenses. Shield generators grew like flowers in secret gardens. The Blooms themselves were changing too, learning to use their connection to their planets for protection instead of just growing things. Admiral, the engineer called out, you should see this. He showed her a video from a Bloom world. When a test beam hit their new shields, the entire shield network glowed like an aurora, spreading the energy out so no single point could be broken. It's beautiful, Kate said. The claws think the Blooms are just simple farmers. They don't understand that every living thing knows how to protect itself when it needs to. A message arrived from Earth's government. The Claw Empire has rejected our final warning. They say they will teach humanity its place in the galaxy. Kate sent orders to the fleet. All ships to prepared positions. Remember your training. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every peaceful species that's ever been bullied by those who think might makes right. As Earth's ships moved into position, hidden among asteroids and behind space debris, Kate thought about how the galaxy was about to change. The Claws thought Earth was too young to matter, too weak to fight, too naive to understand galactic politics. They were wrong. Humanity had learned long ago that the strongest shields were built not from metal and energy, but from the will to protect others. Now the galaxy would learn this lesson too. All ships report ready, said the communications officer. Kate nodded. Now we wait. Let them make the first move. They'll find out that sometimes the best weapon isn't a weapon at all. It's the shield you hold up to protect your friends. The first Claw warships appeared above the main Bloom world like giant metal crabs emerging from the darkness of space. Their weapons charged, glowing red against their dark hulls. General Razor stood on his command ship, expecting an easy victory. Instead, he found himself staring at something impossible. A wall of human ships floated in perfect formation, creating a living shield between his fleet and the Bloom world below. Behind them, the planet's surface glowed with a soft blue light, the new shield system that no one had expected. Those humans actually came, Razor said, his armored claws clicking in annoyance. Send them a final warning. Tell them to move or be destroyed. The message went out, and Captain James's voice came back clear and calm. We are not moving. These are our friends. Your quarrel is with us now. Razor laughed, a harsh metallic sound. Very well. All ships. Attack Pattern 5. Show these primitives what real space warfare looks like. The Claw ships moved forward in their famous arrow formation, weapons firing. But something strange happened. The human ships didn't stay in their defensive line. Instead, they scattered like startled fish, each moving in a different direction, but somehow still protecting the planet. "What are they doing?" Razor demanded. "This isn't proper combat formation." On the shield of Earth, James watched his fleet execute their practiced moves perfectly. "All ships, pattern dance 3, he ordered. "Just like we trained." The human ships moved in ways that made no sense to the claws. Some spun and rolled, making themselves harder to hit. Others seemed to vanish behind special shields, only to appear somewhere else. When claw weapons hit their shields, the energy spread out across all nearby human ships instead of damaging just one. "Impossible," Razor shouted as his shots missed again and again. "They're fighting like sea creatures," James said to his crew, smiling. "Earth's oceans taught us long ago. When you're smaller than your enemy, you need to be smarter and more flexible." The battle continued for hours. The Claw fleet had more ships and bigger weapons, but they couldn't land any serious hits on the constantly moving human fleet. Meanwhile, every time they tried to get close to the planet, they found their weapons absorbed by the strange blue shields growing stronger by the minute. "Status report," Razor demanded. "Sir, we've used 40% of our weapons' energy," his officer reported. "And we've only destroyed 3 human ships. We've lost 12 of ours." Razor's shell turned dark with rage. This was supposed to be an easy victory, a chance to teach the younger species their place. Instead, his mighty fleet was being humiliated by a bunch of primitives who fought like ocean animals instead of proper warriors. "Pull back," he finally ordered. "We need to regroup and rethink our strategy." As the Claw ships retreated, cheers erupted across the human fleet. But James didn't celebrate. "Stay alert," he ordered. "They'll be back, and next time they'll be angry." On the planet below, the Blooms watched in amazement. Their world was safe, protected by creatures from a distant planet who had turned their peaceful technology into a shield against destruction. The blue glow of their defense system pulsed stronger, powered by the gratitude and friendship of an entire species. "Send word to Earth," James told his communications officer. "First battle successful. The shield strategy worked. But tell them to hurry with the rest of the plans. The Claws aren't defeated. They're just surprised. Next time they'll come with everything they have." The stars seemed to shine brighter as the human fleet regrouped, preparing for the battles to come. They had won the first round not through superior firepower, but by turning their greatest weakness, their need to protect others, into their greatest strength. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In every space station, on every planet, beings gathered around screens watching recordings of the human fleet dancing through space, protecting the Bloom world. The sight of a young species standing up to the mighty Claw Empire changed something in the galaxy's heart. Ambassador Lisa stood in a crowded trading station, watching different alien species discuss the battle. A group of ring-world traders spoke excitedly about how the human ships moved like schools of fish. Drift people merchants whispered about secret supply routes they had helped create. Even the space nomads, usually quiet and distant, shared stories about helping Earth's ships hide among the stars. "Did you see how they turned their shields into weapons?" a young ring worker asked his friend. "The claws shot at them, but the energy just spread out and made them stronger." Lisa smiled, remembering how long Earth's engineers had worked with Bloom scientists to create that system. The Blooms knew how to share energy between living things, and humans knew how to build shields. Together, they had created something new. Her tablet blinked with an urgent message. More alien species wanted to help. The Crystal People, who never took sides in conflicts, offered to grow special crystals for Earth's shield network. The Wind Dancers, who lived in gas giants, promised to teach human pilots how to move better in space storms. Meanwhile, the Claw Empire faced unexpected problems. Their supply ships reported strange difficulties. Some got lost in asteroid fields where drift people lived. Others found their fuel mysteriously contaminated after stopping at neutral stations. Small acts of rebellion sparked across the galaxy as others learned from Earth's example. Admiral Kate received the reports with quiet satisfaction. The Claws thought they could bully everyone forever, she told her staff. They forgot that even small creatures will fight back when pushed too far. On the Galactic Council station, things were changing too. The council leader watched recordings of the battle for the 100th time, troubled by what he saw. The humans hadn't just fought. They had protected. Their every move was about saving lives, not taking them. We may have been wrong, he admitted to his advisors. The non-intervention policy, perhaps it only helped the bullies. Back on the front lines, Captain James prepared his fleet for the next battle. The Claw Empire was gathering more ships, but now they faced a different galaxy. Their own allies started asking uncomfortable questions. Why attack peaceful worlds? Why harm those who only wanted to help others? Captain, his sensor officer called out, "You should see this." The main screen showed hundreds of small ships arriving from all directions. They weren't warships. They were civilian vessels from dozens of species. Each brought something to help. Supplies, technology, information about claw movements, or simply their own skills and knowledge. They say they want to help protect the blooms too, the communications officer reported, her voice full of emotion. They say Earth showed them it was possible to stand up to bullies. James watched the ships gather, each one representing a species that had decided not to stay silent anymore. Earth's stand had started something bigger than just one battle. It had awakened hope in a galaxy it had lived too long under the shadow of bullies. "Send word to all ships," he ordered. "Thank them for their help, but remind them to stay behind our shield line. Earth will still take the front position." He smiled. After all, that's what shields are for, to protect others. The stars seemed to shine with new purpose as the galaxy learned an ancient Earth truth. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in fighting battles, but in showing others that they don't have to face their fears alone. General Razor stood on his command ship's bridge, watching as the largest claw fleet ever assembled gathered around him. 5,000 warships filled the space around his flagship, their metal hulls blocking out the stars. This time, he would crush the humans and their allies completely. "All ships report ready," his officer announced. "The humans cannot possibly stand against this many ships." Razor's shell gleamed with confidence. "Send the message. Surrender now, or we will destroy everything." On the shield of Earth, Captain James received the message. He looked at Admiral Kate's hologram floating next to him, and they both smiled. "Should we show them what we've been building?" James asked. "I think it's time," Kate replied. "All ships, initiate Operation Garden." At first, nothing seemed to happen. The human fleet looked small against the massive claw armada. But then, the space around the bloom worlds began to change. Thousands of points of light appeared, growing brighter and connecting to each other like a giant web. "What is that?" Razor demanded, watching the strange pattern spread. The answer came as the lights grew stronger. Every bloom world, every asteroid where they had planted their special crystals, every space station where they had hidden their technology. All of them activated at once. A massive shield network appeared, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Impossible," Razor shouted. "No shield can be that big." But it wasn't just a shield. The blooms had spent months growing their crystal networks, connecting them across space itself. The humans had taught them to turn their life-giving energy into protection, and now that protection covered entire sectors of space. The Claw fleet attacked, their weapons firing at full power. But something amazing happened. Every time their weapons hit the shield, the energy spread out across the entire network, making it stronger. The blooms had turned their greatest skill, sharing and growing, into the perfect defense. "All ships, attack pattern ocean storm," James ordered. The human fleet moved into action, using everything they had learned. Ships spun and danced through space like dolphins in the waves. Others vanished and reappeared using tricks learned from the drift people. Each movement was perfect, practiced, and purposeful. The Claws found themselves trapped in an impossible battle. When they tried to chase human ships, they got lost in false sensor readings created by wind dancer technology. When they gathered in large groups, ring-world ships would appear from nowhere, breaking up their formations. "We're losing ships," Razor's officer reported, his voice shaking. "And we haven't destroyed a single human vessel." The massive shield network pulsed with blue-green light, growing stronger with each attack. The blooms had connected their worlds not just for defense, but to show the galaxy a better way. Every blast absorbed made the shield stronger, just as every act of bullying had made the alliance between species stronger. Hours passed, and the mighty Claw fleet began to fall apart. Ships retreated in groups, their weapons exhausted against the endless shield. Others simply stopped fighting, their crews realizing they were part of the wrong side of history. Finally, only Razor's flagship remained at the front. He stared at the human fleet, protected by the beautiful web of living shields, and understood his mistake. He had thought the humans were weak because they cared about others. Instead, that care had given them the strongest allies and the perfect defense. "Send the message," he said quietly. "The Claw Empire withdraws." Cheers erupted across thousands of worlds as the message spread. The humans and their allies had won not by destroying their enemy, but by showing the galaxy that the strongest shield was built from friendship, trust, and the willingness to protect others at any cost. The age of bullies was ending. A new age of protection and cooperation was beginning. 1 month after the Great Battle, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The rigid seating arrangements were gone. Now representatives from all species sat mixed together, sharing ideas and stories. At the center of the chamber, Captain James, Admiral Kate, and Ambassador Lisa stood with their Bloom allies, addressing the gathered species. "The shield network doesn't have to be just for defense," the Bloom leader explained, its crystal body glowing with bright colors. "We can use it to share energy, to help ships travel faster, to heal damaged worlds. What started as protection can grow into something more." Lisa stepped forward, her eyes bright with hope. "Earth proposes a new alliance, not one based on power or fear, but on the promise to protect and help each other. We call it the Guardian Pact." The council leader, who had once dismissed Earth as too young to matter, now stood in support. "The humans have taught us all something valuable. True strength isn't about having the biggest fleet or the most powerful weapons. It's about standing together, about protecting those who need help." Representatives from dozens of species came forward to sign the pact. The Ring Worlds, the Drift People, the Wind Dancers, the Crystal People, even some former Claw Empire worlds that had broken away to join the new alliance. Each brought their own unique gifts and knowledge to share. On the main screen, images showed the changes already happening across the galaxy. The Bloom's healing crystals grew in special gardens on hundreds of worlds. Human shield technology combined with alien science created new ways to protect and nurture life. Ships from different species traveled together, learning from each other's ways of moving through space. "The Claw Empire is changing too," Admiral Kate reported, showing recent images. "Their new leadership is asking to learn about shield technology. They say they want to protect their worlds, not conquer others." James watched as former enemies became friends, sharing stories and plans for the future. A young Claw officer spoke with a Bloom scientist about combining their technologies. A Ring World elder taught human children about the songs of space. Drift People showed others how to dance among the asteroids. "Did you ever think it would turn out like this?" Lisa asked James quietly. He shook his head, smiling. "We just wanted to protect our friends. But I guess that's how the best changes happen, not by trying to change everything, but by doing what you know is right." The Bloom leader raised its crystalline arms, and the great shield network lit up across the galaxy. But now it didn't glow with defensive energy. Instead, it pulsed with all the colors of all the species it connected, a living reminder that the strongest bonds are built on trust and friendship. Earth has a saying, Lisa told the gathered species, "A shield is only as strong as the heart that holds it." We stood against the Claw Empire not because we wanted to fight, but because we couldn't stand by while our friends were in danger. And in doing that, we found something greater than victory. We found a new way forward. As the session ended, ships from 100 worlds lifted off from the Council Station. They flew in formation, not like soldiers going to war, but like friends traveling together through the stars. The humans had shown the galaxy that sometimes the greatest revolution isn't won through force, but through the simple act of standing up for others. The Shield of Earth turned toward home, its crew tired but proud. They had come to the stars hoping to find new friends, and they had found them. More importantly, they had shown the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their tactics, but in their unshakable determination to protect those they called friends. In the end, they had taught the galaxy the most important lesson of all. When you shield your friends at any cost, you build something stronger than any weapon. You build a future where no one has to stand alone.